Today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the ToolkitRC M600 from URUAV. Now, this is a very unique product. Now you might be like, well, how the hell is it unique? There's a ton of these out there. Well, if you do your research, what you'll find is this is the cheapest portable charger you could possibly purchase right now, which is insane. But the thing is, it doesn't even only charge, it does many things also. It does, it can check your S-bus radios, it can even output S-bus, it can output PWM, it can output PPM, it can also check the PPM input, check the PWM input if you ever needed those. You can also do discharging, and it can discharge up to 150 watts, which is roughly around 10 amps, but that is recycling discharge, which means it'll discharge the battery and put it into the main battery that's powering this whole thing up. And it also has the normal discharge where it just discharges within itself. And not only that, check this out, it's really tiny, this thing. As you can tell, it even has a fan on the bottom and some little stands right here, which just allows it to fit really nicely on the desk. Now, the portability factor for this gets a 10 out of 10 because of its size and the functionality that it's providing. It can do LiPo, lithium high volt, lithium ion, nickel metal hydride, and also even the lead acid up to 6S, which is really, really great. It does charging, it does balancing, and it also does discharging. So let's go ahead and take a look at the menu. So for example, right now, what you would tend to possibly use this for is some sort of a parallel charger like this. So right now, basically what I'll do is I'll charge my HVs, my 3S HVs, make sure they're all the same voltage here. Basically, like this, for example, they're all 3.8. I put them in here, and I can charge all of them in one go on the field. And this is the amount of space it's taking. It's quite remarkable. I mean, for reference here, I don't know what the hell to show you. So here's a little example for reference. This is my, wire cutter, the normal standard size. That's not a lot of space that it's actually taking. So it's really nice. It is really, really nice. And it also has a color screen, and they also provide you with a screen protector that you're going to have to place on yourself and get bubbles like I do. But I'm fine with these bubbles. They don't really show up that much. You don't have to put the screen protector, but it's highly recommended you do because the glass they use on these are absolute trash. On all of these, even the ISDTs, they are absolute rubbish, and they will get scratched like a living hell, especially with our carbon fiber components. They'll immediately annihilate them. So try to put that screen protector on. Now let's go ahead and jump into the menu. Now some of you might have some of these products, and it's basically kind of the same menu here, possibly some differences here. So we can have up to 3 profiles for the charging. So you can have basically like a quick setting, so you don't have to keep modifying every time you change between your 4S's, your 6S's, and basically your 3S HVs, for example. You can have 3 profiles set up. This is the default profile, so right now I haven't set anything up there. And it's really intuitive. So this is the enter, this is the exit. Very responsive, which is something really nice, and it's not going to annoy you. So here we have the LiPo, and if we change it, so we have LiPo, then we have lithium high volt, lithium ion, nickel metal hydride, lead acid, and you can go around and change everything you want here. So we're just going to stick to LiPo right now. The end voltage, so you can even set the end voltage if you wanted it. So that's really nice. That's a really extra great feature, especially if it's not calibrated perfect. Maybe it's charging 4.22 for some people. You can just drop that 2 volts and then you'll be charging at a perfect 4.2. Cells, you could choose how many cells, or you could have it figured out automatically, because obviously you will put the balance port right on the side here. So you can set that up also. Charges to a maximum of 10 amps, discharges a maximum of 2 amps unless you do recycle discharge, which means instead of discharging right into the resistors that are built in here with the fan, it would go back to the battery that's providing the power, so it'll just go this way. If you do the recycle, it'll just go back here with much larger current going back into this one, just charging that one back up for you. So that's kind of nice. So that is quite a lot so far for $22. If we go into the measuring, what we find is we can measure the battery's resistance, internal resistance, also the voltage for each cell, and we can also do PWM measuring, PPM, and S-bus, which is really, really great for debugging purposes. As you can tell, it'll tell you here what channels are moving, which is really nice to know if your S-bus receiver is working or not. We go to output here. This is where it gets really, really interesting, and I'm really loving this feature right here on anything I see, which is power supply mode, which means you can just have it turn into a power supply. Now it says don't short circuit, and if you short circuit it, what happens is there's a fuse that will blow, and you will have to basically replace it. So it's not a self-resetting fuse, it's just a dedicated fuse. There's ways to bypass it, but try not to short it out. or that will blow. And I really hope they actually fix that, because I also noticed that on their M800 series also, when I purposely shorted it to see if I could find the issue. And that's all it does, is it just breaks a fuse, which is really great that it does that. So that's a really great safety measure, not to burn anything in the background. But again, I wish it was a self-resetting fuse, or if they could sell those separately, or something of that nature. If they could supply them on Banggood and they could send me a couple, I could actually show how to repair those. It's just one SMD component. You remove it, you put back, and you're good to go. So we can also output PWM, PPM, and S-Bus. Now you'll be like, okay, what the hell is that used for? Maybe you wanted to see if a motor is working or not. You can plug an ESC straight into the PWM part and actually test if the ESC is working or the motor is working. So there's a lot of things you can use this for. It's really useful. Like, for example, they're calling themselves the ToolkitRC, and it is truly a toolkit for RC stuff. Like, they have not everything, but they have a ton of things that you might need in order for you to debug something or check something. And we also have charging capabilities. Overall, it's a really, really great device with all these little features here. We also have temperature reading, internal temperature reading, keep that in mind. Lowest input voltage, for example, you don't want you're usually using a 4S, so you don't want that to go under let's just say 15 volts, for example. You don't want that to go under 15 volts, so you'd put that as 15 volts. So we would go ahead and set that up. I don't know if you'll be able to see those numbers, but you can set that up as 15 volts, for example. There we go. And 200 watts. And then safe time is, let's just say if some battery is charging for 150 minutes, that's not normal. It'll cut off, so it has some of those safety features. Discharge mode, this is where you decide when you discharge if you want it to go to the internal part or you want it to do the recycle part, which we're going to set up to recycle. This will allow you to discharge at a maximum of 10 amps. So you'll be able to discharge this way at 10 amps, which is also really great. So I'll be able to discharge all these here. Very fast discharging, really nice. Idle beep, so this will start beeping if you haven't touched it in 10 minutes or so. S-Bus width value, so you could change this if you wanted to. The backlight, this is the maximum setting, and so far it's looking really great, which is 10. The buzzer here, I kept it on for you, but I'm just going to turn it off because it gets really annoying. It comes two styles, dark and light. It comes default as dark, and that's basically it. And it also has French, German languages, and I think Italian and Chinese and English. But default it comes as English, so you could change that if you wanted to. But overall, I personally say it's actually a really great, cheap device that I would recommend, even if you don't think you need one and you only have one charger in your house, because you can also buy these special adapters that Lanshin RC just released, which I'll have linked down below, specifically made for these, which you can plug into the wall, and it comes with an Xt60 right here. You plug that in and you can start charging, and it'll be definitely a really nice backup charger just in case. Not only that, you could just use your car battery also to charge as well. So you can put this up by your car's battery and just, set up a connector with alligator clips that'll connect here, and you can start charging whatever you want from your car's battery just with this device. And imagine, pairing it up with a parallel charger, you'll be charging a ton in no time, because this does a 10 amp maximum charging, which is, again, really great for $22. This is insane. You even get a colored screen. This is my opinion. I think it's a really great small device, and it's very useful, very, very useful. And the only thing that I really wish it had, which is also very important, I think personally, is, for example, you didn't want to boot it up and you just wanted to check the voltage in your battery or your cells. I wish there was a quick way where you could just plug that in and have it boot up and just show you that. But there isn't a way. You have to supply this power, and then if you wanted to check the stuff, you'd have to go to plug the battery into this end, then be able to check the voltage for each cell, which is something I don't like, and I wish they could figure something out for that. That would have been really nice. But you also have a 5 volt 2.1 amp USB output, and here's where you would connect your S-Bus signal, PWM, whatever it might be. This would be 5 volts, so be careful. So ground, 5 volts, and then the signal. Whether you chose PPM, S-Bus, and or PWM, this is where it would be outputted from. And on this side, we have our Xt60 input, and also our balance connector setup would go right there. Now, there's also a safety feature. I did install this backwards the first time just to see what happens. Nothing happened. Everything's still working, which is really great. And overall, I think it's pretty awesome. Like, for example, here's the power supply mode. It could go up. So, for example, right now, this battery here is... actually, I don't know how much it's outputting, but we can figure that out from here. We'll see through limit. Let's see what it's going to do now. Okay, we're going to start it. So right now, this battery has 15.6 volts. Okay, so this is the input. And what's really nice in the power mode here, so we can go here and we can say custom, it can boost up that 15.6 volts all the way up to 28 volts if you needed something at a maximum of 5.3 amps. So that is pretty awesome. Now again, if you do end up shorting out that side when you do this custom power supply mode, then you're going to have to replace that fuse inside. I might do a separate video on that later, depending if this video gets enough traction. And if you guys want to see it, let me know down in the comment section, so we can short it out and also go in and fix it. And I'll show you how to bypass it, which I'd never recommend you bypass. And well, that's it, guys. Everything's linked down below. I really hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out, guys.